Welcome to Thrust, the Dance Made in Canada podcast. We're here to provide intimate insights into the perspectives of Canadian dance artists. We'll talk about why physical expression matters, what it does in our bodies when we experience it, and how it impacts our daily lives. This season, we're looking at legacy, succession planning, and knowledge sharing. Change is inevitable, but how does one prepare for it? When artistic organizations are built on an individual's vision, how do we pass along embodied knowledge and artistic vision? Or do we? Let's talk to some of Canada's prominent creators now. Alyssa is a multi-Dora award-winning choreographer and the artistic director of Rock Bottom Movement. She creates surrealist dance theater with humor as her rhythm and empathy as her guide. Her recent works include Big Time Miss, commissioned by Fall for Dance North, and Sex Dalmatian, produced in collaboration with Citadel et Compagnie. Her affinity for transdisciplinary exploration has inspired collaborations that span theater, circus, film, musical theater, and opera, including 4 seasons at the Stratford Festival and work for Canadian Stage. She creates her work through a uniquely collaborative, anti-patriarchal, the word that I can never pronounce, approach. Hi.
Hi.
You're here.
I'm here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's so nice to sit down and have a chat. I don't think we have ever done this.
No. This is the first time recorded.
The last time we talked, not a super long, deep chat, you were talking about how you're thinking about your relationship to creating comedic work and work that is more earnest. Where are those curiosities sitting with you today in this moment, in this space?
I mean, it changes all the time, I think, especially now. I'm always like balancing the two and sort of like sliding on the spectrum of like comedy to earnestness, and then always looping and trying to decide why I sit in a certain place versus another. And so it changes. But I think today, like right now in this moment, I'm really thinking about, I'm trying to figure out how the two can hold hands in a way that isn't, I want to say embarrassing. That's probably the wrong word to use, but like, how can the two hold hands in a way that is like still subversive and rebellious and also deeply beautiful? And I think the answer lies somewhere in like playing with the rhythms of the flux between the two, or maybe in like creating contexts that create space for both. But I think I'm interested in the interplay, instead of making the conscious decision to flux between like really snarky, bitey comedy or like pure poetry.
Yeah.
I'm trying to like surf both right now.
What is your definition of embarrassing, though?
Embarrassing? Okay, yeah, I guess that's the thing. Because like I really do love embarrassment. Like I think it's like a central part of who I am.
And it's also so tethered to like comedy and clown.
That's the thing. And I kind of like, I don't love the feeling of being embarrassed, but it is like, it gives you the best stories of life. Like this sort of like, when you bump up against your own feeling of shame and then you have to remedy it with comedy, to me, that's like embarrassment, the good kind. The bad kind is when you feel like something's not working, like it's not clicked into something, and yet you're trying to do it.
Yeah.
And that gap between succeeding at the thing and then like obviously failing, but not being conscious of obviously failing, that's when it's like the embarrassment that feels really bad. Like I'm like in a pickle jar, like falling, and I have no idea. You know what I mean? I have no more teeth.
Do you feel like you have a dramaturgical approach to implementing comedy into your work?
Definitely.
Do you want to share your secrets with us?
I'm like, yes, it's very, very polished. Well, I guess it's like emotional and like super personal, and that's where it has to come from for me. Yeah. And if I'm in a room of collaborators, which is how I always work, there's also room for them to bring their own personal, emotional relationship to comedy. And so that's what I'm surfing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there is a dramaturgy that's informed by so many resources and references and what's happening in the current moment, and our collective sense of humor is shifting. And so I'm trying to like be aware of that and then also pull against it and try to create the next version of that as it exists in dance. So yeah, I guess that's the dramaturgy, but also like unbridled, energetic commitment to the bit is always the rule.
There's something really interesting about like you saying you're thinking about the current moment within your portrayal of comedy. And in like this season's conversation about legacy, have you thought about remounting work that was like made from a specific time and what that does to your like choreographic point of view?
Yeah, all the time. I always think about it because I'm like, or I'll like go back and watch old videos just to try to like meet my younger self again. And I'm like, oh, like this wouldn't hold.
Yeah.
Or like, what was that referencing?
Yeah.
What were we watching on the internet at this time that like made us think this was really funny? And also the things that were happening in our lives and connection to one another changes the humor. But I do think it would be interesting to go back on something and see how it shifts.
Yeah.
And yeah, and the legacy thing, like I guess the more you show work, the more people come to expect something. Yeah. So then it's hard to keep that like willingness to take a risk that maybe I had when I was 20. And now I'm like, oh no, there's like a responsibility. There's a younger generation.
Yeah.
I can't just be like irreverent and rude. I have to be more considerate in the comedy, but also not so considerate that it becomes unfunny.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And like you talk so much about how informed you are by the people that you work with. Is a relationship to being funny something that you look for in people? And like, can you identify what that is? Like, we were talking, for folks listening, we were joking before this interview about how neither of us have ever been considered to be cool. But like, maybe people would look at you and be like, oh, you're so funny. Or like, you see another person and you're like, oh, that person is like so silly and playful. Is that, I've spoken all over the place. But the question inside of that is a relationship to humor something that you look for in collaborators?
Definitely.
And how do you like distinguish it? Or
I don't know, because that's the thing is like so many people are funny.
Yeah.
Like most. I think funny is like pretty common. Having a sense of humor is like a baseline coping mechanism for most people, I think. But I think there are different avenues to humor.
Yeah.
And so I look for people that share. Well, I don't even look for them. I like happen upon and like fall in like a collaborative love with people who are interested. It's like so simple. I guess like the litmus test would be, this is bad, maybe, watching those YouTube videos of like, have you ever seen when they do productions of Peter Pan in like the high school?
Yes.
And like Peter Pan's like harness system like malfunctions and he like flies against the wall and like smacks it. That sort of like, and he's okay usually.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
like
not like, I guess
teenagers
it's like,
are bouncy.
That's the thing. It's like not quite jackass humor.
Yeah.
Like, cause that's like real harm and that's, I feel hard. That's hard for me. Not for everyone. Hard for me. And then there's like really, really polite, nice humor, which doesn't have enough teeth for me. But somewhere in the like understanding of context, knowing what's going on, and then subverting that, and that bringing someone a lot of joy, that is the sort of like, that's the only, I don't know, that's the easiest way to describe the sort of vibration that we're on, and a sort of naturalness to riff and go with a joke and plant the jokes in the imaginative sphere. Yeah. You know, that thing where you like picture something with someone and then you can just like continue to develop that movie into oblivion. And those types of jokes, I think, are the things that draw us together and like keep us friends and keep us working together.
I loved how you said, like, you fall in love with the people that you collaborate. I say that about the people that I work with often, too. And what's interesting for me is I feel like with my work and my company, Political Movement, I work with different people all the time. And there's like a falling in love that is always like really fresh that happens in these little microcosms. But with Rock Bottom Movement, you have an ensemble that has like grown and developed and is also growing along with you. Does that spanning relationship with your collaborators affect your perspective on legacy?
Whoa. Yeah, I guess so. It's really interesting to think about the two versions of that. And I wonder where that comes from.
Yeah.
You know? But I think in terms of legacy, there's part of me that's always like trying to create dances that will not make them stars because they are stars and we meet with them as stars, but will like make celebrities of them, like really like in a dance sphere, in like a casual sort of jokey version of that word. But like roles or contexts or costumes or scenarios that give them a little micro legacy or like a brief moment of fame. And that is really motivating to me and fun to think about. And I think fun for the people that I work with because they love to give shows. Like they are so generous with their performance personas and with like they're both generous and like deeply ambitious with what they hope to give. You know what I mean? Like they want to like nestle into the center of your brain and live there. And they need the audiences to love them. And so that responsibility I don't take lightly.
Yeah.
And so there are these like micro legacies. And then I suppose on a large scale, like if I think about like legacy, like long down the road, we're long gone, like what are the ripples? I think the working relationship is the thing that I would hope. You know, like if I think about people learning from something, it's like not even from the stage productions, but more from like the way of working and that it doesn't need to be so complicated and complex. And that working with friends, the way that like bands come together as friends and like have decades of like ongoing reinvention and they often like rise and then fall and they like flux together, but they have each other. I want to bring that energy into dance and leave that as a sort of offering.
I love that perspective of like dance companies as bands.
I know, right?
Because I feel like we can isolate ourselves. And one of the things that I love about Rock Bottom is you do work across different disciplines and you are bringing in artists from different places in the artistic field. And it's really beautiful to reframe the way that we think about ourselves that relates to something that is like so accessible. Like music is a part of literally everyone's life. Dance maybe isn't. My next curiosity that feels really cheeky is how would somebody become a new star of Rock Bottom Movement?
We need like a show. You know those shows where like everyone lives on a resort?
Yes.
I think those typically go terribly, but I
think the YouTube version of that could like fund your next dance project.
Like that one with was it the Pussycat Dolls started that way?
Yes, absolutely. A little talent
The next
show.
doll.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh. Okay. No,
I started here first, folks.
I'll focus. How does someone become the next star of rock? I guess the process of joining, like there is no process. It's very casual. It's very unconventional, but I take it very seriously. Like I'll often watch someone perform for years, starting with like seeing them in student shows. Like I'll go and like I like to engage and like see the young people and what they're up to.
Because we're so old.
Because we're so old. We crawl to the theater and watch the youth dance. I'm like, wow. I'll see someone and like notice and watch them perform for a certain amount of time. And then from there, there's this period of like getting to know them, trying to figure out who they are. Often I'll like set up a coffee or a meeting, and then I'll get to know their personality. And then if that's really nice, then I'll invite them into rehearsal to see how we work, to see if they like our atmosphere. And because we have such a specific way of working, it's not for everyone. And we really need to work with people who feel like that is resonant with them and in their energy and their attention span and the way that they like to be like rigorous and practicing as a group. And then from there, like there's also a group component. Like I'll ask everyone what they think, whether they think this person would be a good fit. We'll like set up scenarios for that person to meet all of us. And it's all transparent. Like we're not saying this is like an ongoing audition through interviews, but like usually the person has started by expressing interest in working with us. And I try to explain that it's a long process that is like a big wild maybe. And then when people join in, they're often starting by stepping into roles that the other dancers have done and have to step away from for one show or one tour, whatever it is. And so they're learning the way in, almost as like not a copy paste, but they're having to interpret something that someone else has done. And so they take that knowledge, and that's sort of the training. Yeah. And then after like years, usually this takes, then they'll be a part of a new creative process. And there's a loyalty that's involved that I think is really important, actually. So
it's a beautiful value.
Right? Yeah. I think it's good to consider, and you don't want to be like bopping people around too much. Yeah. You want to take their interests seriously, but also make sure that no one is going to mess up what we have, not for any fault of their own, but just like with the wrong combination, I'm putting the safety of the others at risk, like the artistic safety of the others at risk. And we need to make sure that we really preserve that like hotbed that we've made.
Yeah. Is there a difference for you when you work with, say, like a student production, or if you're choreographing on like a different ensemble and you're coming in? Like how do you make sense of those different realities for yourself as a like creative person?
Yeah. I mean, I'll try as best I can to replicate the rock bottom atmosphere wherever I go. And in some scenarios, I have to be way more headstrong about that than others, because sometimes it's like really in contrast with the systems that are organized. Sure. But I feel like I've learned so much from the collaborators that I work with so often that like I like try to imagine that they're always like with me in these rooms. And so like to tie it back, sometimes it means like 3 or 4 days of like really embarrassing myself and like turning myself into a clown and trying to be as like vulnerable as possible to make it safe for people to try. Yeah. But we always find our rhythm. Yeah. Like it always does click and something comes out of it. Like there is a sense of humor in everyone. Everyone can get there if you're willing to work with, like to meet them where they're at. It's not like, okay, can you please be Sam Grist now? It's like, okay, who are you and what's your version of this? And then that shifts how I go back to rock bottom, and then that shifts, you know.
I always find it really challenging when I walk into an artistic environment where I have to prove that what I have to offer is like worthwhile to meet me inside of. And I think in any scenario where I feel that there's an openness, that there's an invitation, that there's a desire to experience the creative process through a lens that I'm offering, it goes well. But when I meet that resistance, that's I feel like where I struggle, and then I fall into like the tropes of like trying to people please or trying to like overcompensate, and that I feel like drains my artistic energy. Right. And I think students are in a place of curiosity, openness. They are maybe like unjaded from the industry in a way that, we have both spent over a decade in Toronto, and it's a hard city to be a dancer, to be an artist in. So I think, I really value working with students, and I always learn so much about myself in those environments. But it is different. It does feel different than, because there's also I think about the experiences that I had in my upbringing, and like the things that I want to do differently, or like the way that I want to be a part of changing like negative cycles for our industry. So there's like a responsibility that I hold that I don't necessarily hold in a like political movement room that I've curated myself.
Right. Yeah, it is interesting.
Do you find that there's any separation from those two people?
No.
Do you want there to be?
Maybe there should, but actually, there's no separation.
Yeah.
At all. But I don't think there should be.
Yeah.
Unless it becomes like, sometimes you just have to put your like business hat on and like do the thing, and that doesn't necessarily feel like it's your whole self.
Yeah.
But it's a part of the whole picture that's like laying the groundwork in order to like blast off creatively later. And so it's all integrated. And I think for me, it's the way to keep things sustainable and to like commit to longevity is by just like trying to be where I'm at all times.
And like that authenticity.
Yeah, just like it doesn't ever change. The way that I write an email is the same way I show up to the studio, is the same way that I speak to someone about my work or show up to a presenters meeting, like whatever it is, like all the things you have to do when you run a company.
Yeah, totally.
I try to hold everything being the same. Obviously, sometimes circumstance, like you shift to try to please, or you shift to try to be something more. But with more years of experience, it makes it easier to be more steadfast in who you are.
You ready for something radical this summer? It's time for Summerworks Performance Festival, celebrating 35 years of lightning rod performance, experimentation, and creative community. From August 7th to 17th across parks, galleries, street corners, transit hubs, and theaters, you'll experience 11 days of theater, dance, music, and live art that spills into the city's spaces. The theme? Back to the future, forward to the past. A journey through time with works that challenge memory, identity, ritual, resistance, and our collective future. Expect intimate encounters that feel deeply personal and fiercely transformative. With 35 plus projects and over 200 artists, there's something for every curiosity. This is your chance to uncover hidden performances in unexpected places, celebrate bold artistry, and become part of something truly alive. Summerworks Performance Festival, August 7th to 17th. Visit summerworks.ca today. I want to circle back to what you were talking about at the beginning of this conversation around like comedy versus earnest, and those two things holding hands, which I love that as a choreographic image. How do you think about like remaining in a state of reinvention?
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, it's necessary, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's necessary. I mean, I think reinvention is sort of inevitable. I think if you let yourself go and like if you let yourself change, reinvention is inevitable because the world is changing around you. And so if you're really being not good about it, but if you're like if you're actually responding to the things that are happening in your periphery, however large, like whether personal, interpersonal, social, friend group, or like the world at large, or for some people, like the universe, I think you're going to reinvent in the subtleties. You're going to reinvent in the way you see your work. Your aesthetics will reinvent. Humor is always, as we talked about, is always changing. But lately I've been really hooked on the reinvention of the moves themselves.
Ooh.
Like I feel like I kind of got away from my body for the first like 8 to 10 years of making. And it was all about the images and like the body was happening, but I kind of took it for granted. Like I was like, oh yeah, I can make moves. That's the easy part. I'll just like, you know, we'll make the moves and then we'll decide like what's like, you know, like how do we deepen the dramaturgy and how do we deepen the aesthetics and what's the design? But now I'm like, as a choreographer, I'm like, oh yeah, the body. This is such an important thing. And I'm always thinking about like, or like now I'm really obsessed with thinking about pathways and qualities and dynamics and examining the references in our trainings and like how can you bring so much comedy and subversion into like the tilt of the ribs at a certain time musically, and then you like fold at the knee with a swiftness, you know what I mean? Like there's so much rhythm that I feel like it's almost like I'm figuring out my authorship as a movement creator. And that's what I'm really fixating on right now as the first thing, like the first sort of point of departure. And so that's been fun. That's like a fun phase to be in, I think.
So nice to be having fun.
I don't know. Like it's like all the moves have been done, but also there's infinite possibility of minute reinvention within every like bar of music or like, you know, whatever you're doing, whatever you're up to.
As a choreographer, because I'm thinking about the different ways that I approach process, there are times where I'll be like, okay, I'm going to build this sequence that's maybe related to a theme that I'm imagining. And it's like, okay, like twist your knee, swish your head, raise your elbow, crumble to the floor. And then after that is created, I'll look at it and I'll be like, what is the story that's coming out of it that is like related to this theme that I knew I was making and like making from. And then I'll shape it into like what I would maybe call a scene. Like I really love vignettes inside of my work. And other times I'll start with the story and like I'll know exactly what I want it to read, and then I'll craft it with the bodies and with the like collaboration of the people that I'm working with. In this version of like centering the body, what does that look like?
Yeah, so for me, I mean, I totally hear this. Like, I'm similar in that it's like one or the other. Like, it's not always the same way. Sometimes I'll like write a script of the movement and then try to realize it. Or I use like the musical score as a script and then I try to realize that. So there's that. There's those two things. And then lately, a lot of it like starts with, I guess it's always kind of been the way. I'm just thinking about it with more weight these days, is like starting by getting myself, I like try to get myself into a zone by like obsessively marinating my brain in the concept, theory, sort of thematic question or curiosity that's guiding where I hope this will go. And I'm talking like this is like early phases of a dance, like before anyone's even like with me. And then I try to like marinate and like get in that space and then follow images as fast as I can and try to realize them. And then I put like chart paper on the ground and then I go and I write down the images as fast as I can as like a score. So it's like reverse to the one where I sit, make it up and then copy my own instructions. And so then there's that, which is really kind of like raw, unedited impulses driven from this like frenzied state.
Yeah.
And then I share those impulses with people, and then I can zoom out and then start to do the little like fine detail of like tip the ribs on 7 and then look at us like you're a rat.
Yeah.
And then like, let's pick up the arches really high on this so your feet feel tense. You know what I mean? Like, what is the relationship to gravity for this like microsecond, all these tools that we have. And so then that'll go over top of that like frenzy to try to create something that is like so clear, hyper clear, but hyper complex with a hat of unpredictability.
Yeah. And you work so musically. Like that's something that I feel like I've always witnessed in your work, because there's a beautiful, like deep and like vast sense of musicality. Has that always been?
Yeah, I think forever.
There?
Like since I was like a toddler.
Fun.
I love it. Like I love dancing to music.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with music. It's always like
back to the band reference.
That's the thing. Like I wish, like I'm like, did I miss something? Like should I have like
somebody pay for vocal lessons?
Like truly, or like drums. Like someone teach me the drums. That's what I really want to learn. I guess I could just take a lesson.
Yeah.
But the music is always like the homecoming for me, and the like my main artistic guiding force through life, through dance, through all of it. Like always music.
Yeah.
And how music like musicality in the organization of the body and the steps is like a mystery that I will never get tired of.
You've mentioned that you like to make people stars, or you want people to become famous in like their own way through the way that you create space and the way that you imagine stage productions. What is your relationship to fame?
I guess, I mean, fame to me is like, in the celebrity sense, I find it quite funny. Like I've always been really fascinated by celebrity and the sort of alchemy of fame and ego and what that does. And that is a layer of joke that I find very easy to tap into, the persona. But I also think there is such an interesting psychological thing that maybe happens, I assume, where there's this permission, like instant permission to innovate and to like be the next thing. And suddenly like with fame comes this responsibility to be a leader, to be a role model, to also be brash and bold in what you're doing. And I think all of those qualities are deeply valuable.
Yeah.
And so like faking fame as a performance persona, however small, however momentary or temporary it is for the person on stage, is playful and like opens doors and gives the performer permission to do whatever they want and to trust their ego and to actually give it all of the air and the power that it needs to be stunning and compelling and generous and brave and, you know, to have that thing behind the eyes that just like glimmers and sparkles, I think comes from a feeling of being famous. You know, a sort of rebrand of that word for our own purposes and for our own, like, you know, performance needs. I think it's fun. It's also like a nice brain vacation to just imagine being famous. It like, it offers something. It offers possibility, and it allows people to tap into a personality or an alter ego of sorts. Yeah.
If somebody came to you and was like, Alyssa Martin, you're so famous, what would your response be?
Just laugh. Like, I'm not. Yeah, no. I like when I think about fame, I think about like Paris Hilton, like that sort of level.
Yeah.
You know?
And like, what a beautiful muse.
Yeah, she's great. I think she's great. And there's an you have to sort of vibrate at a level that is untouchable to maintain that, I imagine. Yeah. I don't know.
For a last question that zooms us out a little bit, and this is something that I've been thinking a lot about as I've just come to the end of like 2 cycles working in a university setting, being a professor.
They're so lucky. They're so lucky. I wish you were my
it.
professor. Like that's.
I feel like I'm the professor I wish I had.
Yeah.
But there's a different relationship that I now have to legacy because there's a different responsibility. And like, as we are like 30-plus-year-old selves are starting to take on new positions of leadership in our industry, it sort of changes, I think, for me, what I want for like the dance milieu.
Mm-hmm.
Are you finding, as you're also stepping into like other positions outside of being an artistic director, that is more like maybe programming or administrative, curatorial,
Mm-hmm.
that you're thinking about legacy differently?
I think like the biggest thing that I've noticed in myself is this like responsibility to take care, especially actually not only just the young artists, but like every artist that I interact with. And I've been really questioning like how we talk about leadership.
Yeah.
And I feel like in other, actually don't know, but I assume maybe that in some more corporate fields, there is maybe even more discourse about the nuances of leadership, that we are so busy just like
doing the thing,
arriving into a place and having to figure it out. There's not a lot of like formal coaching in that regard. You're just learning from the people who did it before and your peers and the people you're serving. And you're trying to amalgamate all of the pluses and minuses of that, your version of the pluses and minuses of that into something. And so I guess I think I'm less focused on legacy as an overarching thing, but more thinking about like, what are the small, tiny, tiny, minute changes that show real care? And how does caring for people enable them to take the risks that I think we need in the dance milieu? Like, I think everyone needs to just kind of feel a little bit more settled so that they can try their things out. And every artist I interact with in these positions like this are working with a completely distinct voice, which is so beautiful. And I'm constantly learning how to support the many different versions of that and how to, offer what you can, not offer the whole world, and kind of like, organize resources to maximize impact on an individual level, as opposed to focusing on creating a legacy project. You know what I mean? Like a big sort of like banner with a plaque sort of thing. But like, I don't know that that's my approach. I don't know. Like, it's like, be big. Like,
exactly.
It's just like a star, a thick star with be big in the middle.
A little anecdote, my like alter ego that, and like ego being the big word in it, is Staria.
That's amazing.
So we can have matching plaques.
The flags. We just wear them as vests. Like,
love it. Love it for us.
That's so nice.
The last thing I want to leave our audiences with is, what are you presenting at the Dance Made in Canada Festival this year?
Yeah, I'm so excited. We're doing this new piece called Be the Bird, and it's rock bottom movement, and 6 quote-unquote amateur performers joining us. So like a really big, beautiful cast of people. And the instigator of the work is that I want to figure out how to fly.
Whoa.
And so we're just going to try for 20 minutes to fly. And like, how does that happen? Like, what are all the different ways you can try to do that?
Yeah.
And
is there going to be like high school?
Oh my God, no!
Ropes?
I wish. We're just pulling people up on harnesses. Like, I'm like, get in, like, join our club.
No.
Okay. No, like, I guess more abstract. Although I really just want to harness, but not this time. We're going to try to fly. We're going to try to bounce and sing our way into flying and use music and use each other. And we have these amateur performers because I say amateur with love. I've always loved working with people who are new to dance.
Yeah.
It just always like reminds me of my joy and why I do it. And I want to share that with the rock bottom people as well. And then I also want to offer the amateurs an opportunity to be stars. And then for the audience, I want to like, you know, at the like magic show, they'll like prove the magic by bringing up like an unsuspecting audience member.
For sure.
It's like repurposing that sort of convention to try to convince people that dance is this like magical force. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, what a beautiful thing to leave audiences with. The dance is a magical force.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning into Thrust, the Dance Made in Canada podcast. Thrust is presented by Dance Made in Canada, Feo Canada Festival, a biennial dance festival featuring dance artists from across Turtle Island with unique artistic visions from diverse backgrounds. We acknowledge that this land, colonially known as Canada, has been the site of dance for many millennia, and we are grateful for the ability to dance and celebrate on Turtle Island. Thrust is produced by Mayumi Lashbrook with Taylor Zalek Young, editor and composer Jamar Powell, sound engineer Chris Dupuis at 1990 Studios, and cover photography by Marlo Porter. And I'm your host, Staria Evans. Oh no, I'm so embarrassed about that. Thank you to our funders. Canada Council for the Arts, Canadian Heritage, the Ontario Arts Council, and Toronto Arts Council. We couldn't do this without their constant support. Find us wherever you get your podcast, and don't forget to rate and review. Let dance transform you.